All right, greetings everybody. Welcome this evening to the Triad of Darkness, which is Cosmic Serpent, the Rogue Titan, and myself, Brother Ravana Noon. This evening we'll be discussing how to avoid the second death as a Black Adept. How to avoid the second death as a Black Adept. Something that I'm pretty sure that most of us, whether we are aware or not, most of us fear death. Or if we don't fear it, we're just not sure about it, because there is no true total confirmation about what happens after death. Okay? That being said, we're going to go into this evening discussing the second death. But before we get there, I'm sure we would like to also know what the first death is. So I'm going to go and ask Cosmic Serpent and Rogue Titan to break down what they see as the first death and then the second death, and then I'll give my input at the end as well. So Cosmic Serpent, what do you consider to be the first death and, case in point, second death?
Okay, so you can use the perspective of the Black Adept because we're coming from that standpoint. And, you know, a lot of people have their visions of what happens at the end. You know, everybody is either on one side or the other. Either there's life after death, or either you are gone. You're in a void. You're done. This is it. It's blackness, and it all comes from your viewpoint as your religion or what you've been taught or what you adhere to. To me, the first death is our physical death and our chemical transformation of us from this particular form. When your body drops, basically, you know, when you cease to have matter, you know, when you cease to have this particular flesh, my brother refers to it as a meat suit, but you know, when this body dies, when you are existing here in this three-dimensional plane, you have to have some sort of a mask, some sort of a house, some sort of a containment to be able to have the experiences that you're having and to be able to survive here. The reason that you're here is not to be this body and to be represented as such, but you need this for a reference point for yourself and also to make life here livable. But the body is not actually the final place. Once we transition, there's so much more. And I wrote a little bit about it, because the body is an image in the finite mind, basically. And the finite mind is a localization of infinite consciousness. So consciousness is infinite. It is there's no bounds, there's no limit to it. But as infinite beings, our origins created outwardly in order to have the ability of an experience. So put plainly, perceived self is just a stream of sensations, chemical responses from the brain, all in the combined goal of being sustainable. So you're in this body having this experience, and the experience that you feel, which feels so real, all of our emotions, all of the pain, everything, if you really look at it from a chemical view or from a under a microscope, you would be able to see that you're just responding to the receptors. You're responding to your genetic disposition. You're responding to your senses telling you how to behave and actually creating your perception of what's going on. So basically, you're a result of what you've been fed. So the body or the illusion of self is not synonymous with the reality of consciousness, as consciousness is infinite, right? So our minds are basically like a condensed version of the unlimited stream. So we live in these bodies and we can only perceive what consciousness is through our lens. And that has a cap. No matter how amazing your dreams are, how amazing your astral aerobics can be, you still have limitation. So that's one thing that I'll say. So the first death would be, just to answer your question, I'm going a little bit off. The first death would be when we lose this, but the consciousness that we have is it can't be killed. There's no end to it. So the second death is, in my opinion, in a monotheistic view, a lot of people think of it as, releasing or giving up, or being absorbed back into the void of chaos. So when you leave this earth, when you leave this body, when your brain, the muscle of your brain dies, what happens? Does your consciousness go with it? Is it a black nothingness? Does it all stop there? Or is consciousness an infinite concept that can't be killed or can't be eradicated? So the second death, I believe, is transitioning, leaving this earth, letting your brain die without its faculties, or without having your reference. We are here to create the reference for ourselves, to be able to leave this existence with. So the second death to me is leaving, letting the alchemical process happen. Your consciousness is then absorbed into the void, the darkness, to be done with whatever. If you don't have that connection to it, if you don't use those reference points, then that is something that could potentially happen. So just in short, that's what it is. There's so much more, but yeah. So yeah.
All right, thank you very much for that. I love the answer there. Let me pass it on to Rogue Titan, who I know has been waiting to break this down. Hold on, let me bring Rogue Titan in here. Rogue Titan, what is your take on what the first death is, and what is the second death?
Now, the first death for me, based on everything that I've studied, everything that I've cultivated as far as working with the death current. Now, I look at it different. I look at it as death being a gateway to rebirth, meaning that when I was born, that was my form of dying, a form of where my spiritual consciousness went to rest within matter, within the grossness of dense third dimensional reality. You see what I'm saying? So death for me is a alternative form of being born anew into the spirit, where the body ceases to exist. The body is finite. You see what I'm saying? The body decays. But the consciousness growth is like the alchemical transformational process of being in matter, is to cultivate the spirituality, or the consciousness and the spirituality, whatever you're working with, to be born anew upon death. That's why I look at death as a celebration of life, like I said, an alternative form of being born. Now, back into the traditional view of death, now, like the second death for me, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? When you die, they say the body, you know what I'm saying, goes within the astral plane, or the spiritual plane, for you know what I'm saying, lack of a better word. But that's not a realm that's forever. That's a finite realm as well, where that eventually your astral body is gonna have to, quote unquote, have to transcend or go to a different spectrum of reality or whatever. So when the body, you know what I'm saying, when you're going through that, you gotta understand something, that when we're outside the body, all you have is the mind and the spirit. That's why everything that you can think of will react, and you will create it instantaneously when you're on this realm of existence. You see what I'm saying? You don't have the body to fall back on. You don't have the necessary mechanisms of time and space to, you know what I'm saying, to work out. It all happens right there. So you bring it with you, with your mentality. But like the second death for me is being swallowed up by chaos. You see what I'm saying? Going back into the void, which is equivalent to me within religion of going into the oneness of God or going into the light. You see what I'm saying? And now I'm not necessarily with that. You see what I'm saying? I don't necessarily want to, you know what I'm saying, just give up, allow myself just to be swallowed up, recycled, and to be born anew. Now, granted, now we're infinite beings, meaning that we're chaos beings. So it's going to always be able to manifest in some way, shape, or form throughout creation. That's I'll stand on that. You see what I'm saying? But my ego, my you know what I'm saying, this corporeal existence that I'm in, the mentality that I have is equivalent to Seth. You see what I'm saying? I'm not bowing down. I'm not about to just let Apep swallow me up. I'm going to slay Apep. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to maintain my sovereignty and my self-deification self to decide what the fuck I want to do within any reality I'm in. You see what I'm saying? So I'm the dictator of it in this physical flesh and on the astral when I lead this. That's my mentality, and that's what I believe. You see what I'm saying? And they say, as a man thinketh, so is he. That's what I strongly believe that. So like doing rituals, going through like last couple of weeks, just working with this death current and coming face to face with, you know what I'm saying, death goddesses, Lo Santísima Muerte, Hela from Norse goddess of, you know what I'm saying, Norse mythology, and all different other attributes of that current has shown me a lot, has revealed to me a lot of different things for death for me. You see what I'm saying? This is my subjective experience. I don't speak for everybody with this, but I work with this current a lot. You see what I'm saying? I work with it very intimately. It is very personal. You see what I'm saying? With the elaborate rituals that I do to get to the mysteries and get to the meat of what all this is. But my view on it is not traditional how everybody else looks at it as something negative. Because this darkness, that's where I want to be at. You see what I'm saying? And because I'm uncovering, because I look at it as a transformational process. I'm getting stronger by going through the death current because I'm coming back into my big boy shoes in the spiritual plane of existence, so to speak. You see what I'm saying? Where I can do what I want to do. But to me, like I said, to be swallowed up by chaos, to let Tiamat just swallow you up, that's why I gotta be Marduk. I gotta be like, no, I'm a slave. I'm about to slay Tiamat. I'm not about to. I'm gonna leave. I want to leave. You see what I'm saying? I'm gonna go back into the chaos on my own volition, on my own terms. I'm not about to submit to that. I'm not about to allow that to happen. You know what I'm saying? Another way I look at it as in Norse mythology, when Thor and the Asgardians, when they die, you see what I'm saying? They go to Valhalla or whatever, but
right.
It's a concept called the Demogorge, where this is God eaters, where they eat their asses up. Yep. They go through that Ragnarok process, and they got to fight this big ass monster to maintain their ego. They got to maintain their you know what I'm saying, self-deified self as gods. You see what I'm saying? So they got to fight this damn Demogorge from, you know, swallowing their ass up to recycle them back into Asgard as something, a new form of that energy. And I'm not allowing that. You see what I'm saying? So that's what second death is for me, and I'm not with that shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go when I want to go.
True. And I agree with both of y'all. Because to me, like, the first death is basically when you're born into this physical world. You're losing your connection from that realm, darkness, dark matter, dark energy materializing to physical matter that can be confined and controlled. You understand? So that is the first death to me, coming into this physical world, a world of limitation, a world based upon the five senses: smell, hear, taste, touch, limitation. But then we start to transform, we start to grow, expand our consciousness if you do the work. Once you start to do that, then you start taking on the mentality of Sith, the immortal mentality, the immortal mindset, the individuated consciousness. And you do not want to lose that when you taste the second death. You want to retain your consciousness, your ego identity. The only way to accomplish that is to become as adept as you can, walk in the path you are, to expand your consciousness. So your thoughts should always be immortal as you exist in this physical realm. Your actions should be that to promote immortality. Everything you do should be to promote immortality. Not that the physical you're going to take with you, because people have misinterpreted that for thousands of years. Oh, you're immortal. You're going to live for thousands of years. Yes, you could extend your physical life, but even that will always have a time limit. What we speak about immortality and extending your life immortally is your consciousness. When you pass on, are you going to retain your consciousness to be able to, at will, utilize that consciousness in the chaotic realm? Be able to utilize that consciousness whenever you choose to, and possibly come back into the flesh, possibly utilize it for other means. And most people are fearful of the second death because they have not done the work. They have not done what was necessary to retain that immortal consciousness. So once they cease, not only does their physical cease, but their ego identity ceases to exist. But they promote that. Brother Rogue Titan hit that on the spot. They promote that through the right-hand path, especially about merging into oneness, merging into awe, becoming one with God. And they make it seem like something so beautiful, but in a sense, God is devouring you and you're losing all aspects of who and what you worked hard for, not just this lifetime, because some of us retain other life consciousness from past lives, and it only continues to grow in each lifetime. When you lose all of that, it's almost like you're starting from square or scratch, starting from zero point time reference again, having to build thousands of years that you might have worked in past lives, totally losing that consciousness in the second death. That's what I think people fear the most. But if you've done the work, there's nothing to fear. This is why necromancy is so important. If you really work necromancy, you will understand that. That's why in the Vampyre classes, we're going to incorporate back into the necromancy, because the more you communicate with the spirits, work with the spirits, the more you start to understand what death is. They will share knowledge with you about death. They will share knowledge with you what starts to happen. But it's not confirmable by others. It's only confirmable by your work and what you've done, and that's it. So, yes, definitely the second death is something that I believe is something that people are afraid of. And as you said, in Valhalla, that's where the gods go to. But then you have the demiurge who are there ready to devour the gods.
Yeah.
That concept is pretty much passed across the planet, where you find concepts of gods being devoured by these energies or entities that are ready to consume them. This is why the gods rely on you human beings so much in their stories and their mythos across the planet. They rely on you so much because they need you for their existence.
Right.
And they get stronger off of feeding from you. So when they meet the demiurge, they're more powerful to be able to either keep back the demiurge or to be able to defeat them. That's their fear as well. This is why gods need you. But the world over worships gods, and they bow down and grovel to gods. And in the process, they're losing who they are. They're losing their consciousness. They're losing their identity. And they think that they've done some total perfection of themselves and merge back into oneness, and they cease to exist forevermore. I don't know about y'all, but I don't work too hard to overcome a lot of BS in my life to let any of that just go away because of merging back in these energies waiting to consume you, waiting to devour your consciousness. For me to work this hard just to give it up, not happening. Not happening at all. That's the case. Cosmic Serpent. So what are some things that individuals can do to prepare or empower themselves for the second death and past the second death? And then I'll pass that same question to Rogue Titan.
Right. Just like the brothers both said, working with the current, facing the feelings of death in this world, using the tools that you have as far as your mind, your active visualization, your meditation, using rituals to be able to put yourself in the place of what it's going to feel like, what it's felt like for you, addressing those things that have happened in your life that have brought you to that cusp, just working with that current within yourself, working with the darkness, working with dark energy, being comfortable with that, being able to recognize yourself. If you claim the singularity, being able to do active meditation to feel what that feels like. But I think that working with the current of death, being able to address the energies as they come and to not be afraid. I know that a lot of us on here have talked about working with Santísimo Muerte, have talked about working with Kali, talk about working with Lilith, people that might, energies that might bring to you an active visualization if that's what your intent is, or even if it's not, being able to bring you face to face with those fears, being able to kind of hone your practice in to sense those notions when they come up and to work through them. I know that some of us have had some really dark places and dark times in our lives, you know, and maybe dealing with death of a loved one, you know, maybe death of parts of yourself. It really does make you more connected to that energy. So working that path is really important. Also, facing your bullshit, facing yourself, and facing the things that you do that cause all of the trepidation and the emotional disdain in your life, and using the current of death to be able to, in an active way, kill that off, and feeling that feeling, just like you're detoxing, letting letting it all die and being not feeling comfortable with it, being in that state. So active meditation, working with dark energy, being comfortable with that, and just finding a way in those shadowy places, not being afraid of what comes on the other side by doing your research, putting yourself in those positions during meditative states, and to constantly prepare. Another thing that works for me is when I am using this energy actively to be able to work it, I study ancient symbolism, you know, the symbolism of what anything might mean, because we are all connected in some way. So ancient symbolism is a really good way to kind of incorporate that, but just working the current, working with the energies that represent that to you, and not being afraid of what might come up, not being afraid of maybe seeing yourself in that position, or seeing someone that you are close to in that position, and working through it. So those are some ways that you can cultivate that while you're here on this plane.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. All right, Brother Rogue Titan, same question for you.
That's just like this. Take self-inventory on yourself. Get your motherfucking ass up in the morning, go in the motherfucking mirror and ask, who are you? You know what I'm saying? What are you? Who are you? And the response should be, I am. And you gotta, to me, in my opinion, embrace the concept of death. You gotta reprogram your subconscious mind, reprogram the way the culture thinks of death, and embrace it, because it's a transformational process that's gonna bring you unbelievable all powers back to your, you know, so you just reconnecting back to your godhood, your divinity, by going through the gateway that is death. You see what I'm saying? Become in love with it. Like before I came on here, I watched a documentary about a bunch of fucking animals and farms being slaughtered. Embrace that shit, looking at it and feeding on that current. Not looking at it in a grotesque way, like, oh, this is such an innocent animal being slaughtered. That's a current. That's a current of energy that's a transformational process going on. But I'm not looking at it from a lens of a human being. I'm looking at it from a lens of death itself, by embodying the concept of death and becoming it and working with that. You know what I'm saying? But taking responsibility of wielding that energy. You see what I'm saying? But it's about embodying it. It's about, I'm telling you, if you look at this, if you really research the brain, you understand that we're hallucinating this reality. We're generating this reality from our subconscious mind, but it's a hallucination. It's a false sense of the real world that's outside of space and time, that's just outside of this dimensional plane of existence, which is your true life. So if you look at this as your death, your physical form, as you being within a sarcophagus or being in Tartarus, which is matter, you will fall in love with death and embrace the gift that is going to give you in transformation and becoming or being born anew. So the whole concept of reprogramming your mind into accepting death as a life concept will change everything for you. And looking at it, you know what I'm saying, you can take advantage of how humanity looks at death and they fear it, and transmute that energy or that fear they have into it into self-empowerment, and reabsorb that shit and use that shit for fuel for you to create better ways for you to do rituals and elaborate forms of whatever you're doing, whatever sigil magic you're doing, to fuel that concept of you embodying that death current, because it's powerful. You got to think about it. Everything in nature is on a road to death. It's on the road of entropy. It's losing its vitality in some way, shape, or form. You see what I'm saying? Matter itself is deteriorating. So if you can't beat that, what you can do is embrace it and become it. And that's how you work with it. And also another way of like embracing it and working with the energy is almost like if this is a illusion and this is a hallucination that we're all like conjured up from our brain, by surrendering to the current is a form of controlling. You see what I'm saying? Just being still, right, and just letting that energy, letting that death current energy, being comfortable with working with this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I do some ill ass shit with Los Santísimo Muerte. You see what I'm saying? And it ain't for the faint of heart. But embrace letting that death energy just, you know what I'm saying, let it just wash over you. You know what I mean? You gotta be there to maintain your frame. You gotta be there to maintain your self-deified self and absorb that shit like Seth would absorb that shit. You know what I'm saying? You gotta become that. Not thinking on a human concept, you gotta become this current itself. What I mean is you gotta become the principality that death represents. You see what I'm saying? A foundation that's in creation, which is death. You see, darkness or whatever. You see what I'm saying? You gotta become it, you gotta embrace it. But you also have to surrender to it because you can't control it by consciously trying to wield it and shape it and aim it. You got to surrender to it. Thus, that's allowing you to maintain that control of it. It don't make sense within this third dimensional reality, but outside of this shit, it makes perfect sense. You see what I'm saying? So you're going to have to, so for me, doing a lot of rituals of imagining creative ways that I can be killed and watching it. You see what I'm saying? Right. Watching my family be slaughtered by animals and wolves and shit while I sit there and I'm just looking at that shit while they crying out to daddy and shit. And I gotta sit there and not react and respond emotionally like a human because I'm not a human. I'm a titan. You see what I'm saying? That's my mindset on that shit. And you're gonna be faced with that shit. So like Thanos, how he had Ghost Rider motherfucking give him the penance there. He was getting excited on that shit, watching the pain and suffering of motherfuckers that went through shit. That's how I apply that shit. I look at it the same way. I grab this motherfucking skull, go through my ritual shit, and I just stare into the eyes of death and absorb the current and embody that shit. It seems crazy until you do it. So don't take my motherfucking word for it. First-hand experience of doing that shit yourself, proving it to yourself, is the best teacher. And for anybody that's done that, I salute you. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not for the faint of heart. So you're gonna have to become comfortable with darkness and total darkness. I'm talking about the darkness of yourself, the darkness in nature itself, and what death represents. You're going to have to become comfortable with that shit because when the body drops and all you got is the mind, if you got any fucking faint of trepidation or fear in your heart about that shit, it's predatory spiritualism up there just as it is down here. And you might get your ass swallowed the fuck up. Be mindful of that shit. You're going to have to become, this not for everybody. You see what I'm saying? But I enjoyed it. I love the challenge. You know what I'm saying? I embrace it because I know what comes with it, and what comes with it is transformation into becoming more powerful. You see what I'm saying? That's what we all about. That's why we doing this work. You see what I'm saying? By embodying the concept of death itself.
Yep. Appreciate that, brother. All right. Let me see. First, let me say this. As Rogue Titan and Cosmic Serpent said, we've all been dying since we were born. The moment you were born into this physical, you've been dying. We think, oh, we're youthful, we're so energetic. No, every day you live on this planet, every day you breathe on this planet, you are dying. That's a concept that many of us have to start getting familiar with. You're not getting younger. Every day you're here, you're getting older, meaning you're starting to dematerialize every day. Your body's getting weaker, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. In Africa, certain cultures and other indigenous cultures around the world, there's a difference. They mourn when you're born and they celebrate when you pass.
Right.
It has been changed around in this modern day society because we celebrate birth, but in actuality, it's a death. You're being born into the physical. You're now mortal insofar as your body's dematerializing every day, decomposing every day. But you celebrate death because you're no longer confined to the limitations of the body. You're no longer confined to the five senses. You're no longer confined to this human state of existence, okay? We need to get back to that understanding of celebrating death as opposed to celebrating birth, okay? In Africa, certain tribes, when a child is born, the elders besides their parents, the elders are there to greet them, and the kid spends most of their time with the elders. The reason why is because that child is newly brought into this material, so they still have access to the spirit realm. They still have clear spiritual vibrations and impressions to the spirit realm, so they're able to communicate with the spirit realm easier, as opposed to this Western world where we start to day one disconnect that child from their spiritual gifts and abilities. Okay, so that child spends all their time with the elders to their about, I think it's certain tribes it's 11, others to 13 before they go through their rite of passage. Different ages for different tribes. Just keep that in mind, because the specific reason is because they're closer to death, meaning they're closer to the death realm than they are as they get older. As you get older, you start to become more socialized, more indoctrinated, and more programmed by society, thus losing much of your spiritual gifts. Some people love to brag and boast how spiritual they are. It ain't nothing, honey. How spiritual we once were to where we are today is a far cry from when you were first born to today. Some of y'all, I'm sure, can even retain some memory of your youth, seeing spirits, what some would call imaginary friends. And he's just, our child is special. He has or she has an imaginary friend. No, that's not imaginary friend. They actually see the spirits there. They actually see the spirits from your ancestral bloodline and other spirits. They're not tripping. We're tripping because we lost our ability to see that. Mm-hmm. Surround yourself with death. Surround, as Brother Rogue Titan was saying, as Cosmic Serpent was saying, surround yourself with death. Death is always around you. Don't be afraid of it. Death is constantly happening. Learn to embrace death, okay? This may sound strange because most mortal minds do not think outside that box. They're still confined within a box. They still judge things based on a box. They still judge things based on society. Yet they'll tell you they're so conscious, but they're judging you based on society, okay? Society believes that none of you all here will ever change, that the way you are is the way you will always be. Society believes that if you're a certain mind, that when you were younger, as you get older, you'll always be that. Is that true? No, because I know perfect examples within my family where people had drug addictions and went on to become a millionaire later in life. So that's BS when people try to confine you and say you're always going to be like this. That's a mortal mind. Rogue Titan hit it spot on. Stop looking at shit as mortals. People see Bambi getting killed by the lion and they go in a hissy fit and cry and get upset. That's so gross. That's such debauchery. Listen, fool. Okay? What you have to understand is that has to happen in order for the ecosystem to be in balance or in harmony. Okay? That has to happen. But your little fairy ass wants to cry about it because it seems so brutal, and I'm so upset because I want to be docile. I want to be so sweet and nice to everything that we don't realize nature ain't sweet and nice, honey. It ain't sweet and nice out there. When you really go into nature, you see that there's always a predator and a prey. That you either get consumed or you do the consuming. If you don't like it, then get your conscious so-called conscious mind and take a hike and realize that you're still a mortal mind, that you're still judging people based upon your social programming. Take a hike. Go find somewhere else where you fit in and stop trying to pass the buck like you deep. All right? Because the reality is most people who claim to be conscious judge you worse than a Christian would, judge you worse than a Muslim would, judge you worse than a bunch of other groups do, but don't realize how they're limited in their mind and they're always a mortal mind, okay? You as gods, as demons, can devour any part of yourself that you no longer see fit, destroy it, consume it in death, and be reborn again. You can consume any part of you and bring it to death, consume it to be reborn again. So don't ever think that you're limited to the little habitual problems you've had, the little psychological problems, or anything you've ever had in the past. You can consume and destroy any part of that. And don't ever let anybody tell you otherwise. And you can taste death when you consume that part of yourself by bringing it to death. And you can taste life all in the same process when you do that. Because the mortal mindset, as my two individuals here, Cosmic Serpent and Rogue Titan, said, is what plagues us from becoming immortal. Is what plagues us from not growing and transforming. It's what keeps us within a box. No matter how deep you are, you're still in the box if you can't think outside that box, or you think you're thinking outside that box, but you're still judging based on that box.
Right.
No one can judge you. You're the only God there is. First Luciferian point, you're the God that is. You're the only God that is. So if you give the power to someone to judge you, you are weak and you deserve to be devoured. I give, we give, and no one on here will ever give anybody any power to destroy us, to judge us, or to devour us ever again. Not happening, not in this world, not today. So we understand death as it is. You start to embrace it. You start to embody death. You start to go to the cemeteries. You start to lay in the cemetery. You go by a tomb. You lay there. No matter how weird you look to people there, lay there. You bring whatever you feel to that tomb, whether it's an offering or whether it's rum or whatever the case may be, and you sit there until you feel that death current flowing through you. Don't run from it. Don't hide from it. You sit there, okay? And what you'll start to find is certain spirits will come to you. And let me explain what I mean by that. Spirits, demons, don't like normal people. I'm going to say it again. I worked with this shit for years, okay? Spirits, demons don't like normal people. So if you never have been reached out by a spirit, made contact from a spirit, it's because your ass is a normal human being. They don't like human beings. They want to devour and destroy you and use you most of the time. You just don't realize it because you have a religious mentality, still thinking like a mortal, still thinking like a human, still thinking, oh, the spirits love me. They work with me. They worship me. They love what I do. No, they're not. They just sitting there waiting for you to make one mistake, and they're going to consume your ass and take down the road of misery because your ass was so stupid to think that they are your best friend. No, because the spirits ain't playing games with you. They just waiting for you to mess up. All right? So realize that. What you start to find is when these spirits or demons start to come to you is because you're not a normal person. You're unique. You have your own way. You wear your hair your own way. You got your own style. You got your own everything. You think differently. You think outside the box. You don't think like a mortal. They love that shit. They love when you don't think like this whole humdrum, everyday, mundane mentality. When you're unique, they surround you. Believe it or not, because I don't care what people believe. Everybody in this here and everybody that's in this room right now, I see the spirits all around y'all. Some of y'all have a lot more spirits. Some of y'all have spirits, not as much as others, but some of y'all are surrounded by spirits, y'all. Like you could see it around some of y'all. Literally, you could see all these frequencies and vibrations of spirits all around. Some of y'all got like 20 of them. Some of y'all got like 5 of them. They love y'all. That's why they love discussions like this, because the energy's there and they attracted to that shit. So the death is not something to be scared about because they're waiting. They're waiting right there. All right. And they're waiting to share that knowledge and wisdom. All right. They're waiting to give you the knowledge and wisdom. You just got to ask, reach out for it, do the ritual, do the work. And don't get upset if you don't get it. Your ass is just normal. Keep it moving. Period. I mean, that's the bottom line. All right. So for sake of time, any other things, Cosmic Serpent and Rogue Titan, you want to add on before we start taking questions?
I just wanted to say that I went in preparation for this to the cemetery yesterday,
Yeah.
And Brother Noon gave me some really good insight on some things, and I love just being in the arena of the dead and just in that area, just in the cemetery itself. If you go, there's still life. There's birds chirping, there's squirrels, there's everything, and there might be people walking around. But if you sit long enough and you're still for long enough, you will start to be emptied. And that's the best way that I can describe it, because what you're getting ready to be prepared for is to receive messages, to receive downloads, to receive a notion or a here or there or something that's going to trigger something else within you that will trigger something else. But if you ever get a chance to go and just rest in a cemetery by yourself, just rest, and you'll start to feel this emptiness, this drain, and just welcome it, because it is the spirits preparing you for them. It's prepared. They're preparing you for them. So I just wanted to say that I love that area, and if you get a chance, you should definitely do that.
Yes. And also, real quick, what I remember, also, the spirits, demons, they don't judge you like humans judge you. A lot of the shit that we judge ourselves for, they give two shits about. Okay? You gotta remember that. They don't think like mortal people. They don't think like humans. They don't judge you on that shit. That doesn't mean make an excuse if you got issues and bullshit. You should be mastering that shit. Okay?
Right.
Spirits can use your issues and bullshit against you. So keep that in mind. You should be devouring and mastering your own bullshit. But when you've done the work, they really gonna come. You're gonna be empowered on the next level. Rogue Titan, anything else?
Yeah, I'm gonna say this. Like, one of the things that I'm into heavy, and I don't make no, you know what I'm saying, I don't shy away from this shit, is sex magic with deities, demons,
Yep.
quote unquote monsters,
Be right back. Keep going.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So like the shit motherfuckers afraid of death, man, I fuck death. You know what I mean? Like the embodiment of that, whatever shape or form that you envision, I probably, you know what I'm saying? That's probably how I smash that shit. And it's an energy exchange. Sexual energy is an energy exchange. You see what I'm saying? You write the ritual intent out like I do all my ritual. I read them out. I read that shit to the spirit. I call on them. Let them motherfuckers know what this is, what my agenda is with this. You know what I'm saying? They you know what I'm saying? They communicate right back to me what they require. You know what I mean? And we get it popping. You see what I'm saying? But it's about embracing that concept and absorbing the gnosis and the energy that you get from that. You know what I'm saying? And embodying it and embracing it. You see what I'm saying? And it will empower you beyond your wildest fucking imagination. You see what I'm saying? You're not thinking, you can't think under the limitations of the human, what humans understand about reality. They have no fucking clue. You see what I'm saying? But it works. It works. I'm telling you, it works, because you got to understand, you got to know what you are. You know what I mean? You got to know that this physical shell that you in is just a fragment, a mere speck of what you are outside of space and time. You know, outside of space and time, outside the limitations of what this reality allows us to be in, is what you are, is being all powerful, all knowing. You see what I'm saying? All encompassing throughout the multiverse or whatever. You know what I mean? So, and another thing I wanted to say, that how people view this reality or under the cultural condition that we're in is from a left hemisphere brain mindset, and it's basically from a European's mindset. With we've adopted the fear of death from our quote unquote slave masters, because they view death as being it. And it is it to them. You know what I'm saying? That's why they're fighting for survival. That's why they're stuck into their reptilian brain, always trying to extend their life here, because they have no life outside the confines of the flesh. You see what I'm saying? Majority of them. That's why a lot of their time is occupied in trying to merge themselves with technology, due to the fact that matter itself is deteriorating and their cellular structure is starting to dissipate and they're not being able to reproduce. So they're coming up with, you know what I'm saying? They're running into hell and high water with kind of stuff and trying to stay here. You see what I'm saying? They're losing their vitality. You see the sun's eating them up. It's getting hot outside. You know what I'm saying? They're going to self-destructive self-behavior, you know what I'm saying? Drug addiction, suicides, and things of that nature. But death is it for them. You see what I'm saying? And it's inevitable. Like Thanos, when he snapped his fingers, for them, it's a wrap. You know what I mean? They don't exist don't exist outside of this realm. You know what I'm saying? Not like they don't have that spark of chaos. They not invited to the party when it comes to that. And that's why they really force that viewpoint of fear of death through their indoctrination. And I'm gonna tell you what, it helps. And it's a benefit because it provides a challenge for you, the Black Adept, to navigate through that bullshit to see what's true and what's false. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I look at the concept of going through the indoctrination of believing that death is all negative as a complement to our spiritual growth and our excellence and our alchemical process of being able to transcend the confines of that limitation of thought form that they place on. So I salute them motherfuckers for that shit. That's how crazy I look at that shit. You see what I'm saying? So I don't look at it as necessarily a negative because it provided us the alchemical means to transform. So salute. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, indeed. All right, y'all, let's get ready to take questions for sake of time. All right, everybody, check this out. Now, one question at a time, okay? You got to address this question for Cosmic Serpent, this question for Rogue Titan, or this question for myself, Ravana Noon. So you got to be specific. Only one question or one comment. One question or one comment. Do not give us a dissertation. Do not give us your thesis. Do not give us the Bible according to you. It's just one question, one comment. We got like 20-some people in the room. To be fair, we want everybody to be able to ask their question or state their comment. If you don't have a question, just say pass, okay? We're trying to be fair so everybody can get their questions answered or their statements, all right? So let us begin with the almighty Demetrius. All right? Demetrius. Let me unmute you, brother.
The almighty, you're scaring people.
Yes, I am.
Well, I don't have a question, just a comment. You know, this is another great topic. I just encourage everybody to embrace that concept of the death current because, yes, this flesh body is going through death process, you know, as you age and whatnot. It's nothing to be scared of. What happens when you do that, you open yourself up to certain powers. You know, you embody that, you embrace the death, you become what it's called the Lich, the master of the undead.
Yes.
So you could direct things like spiritual rot is an awesome thing. So that destroys people, places, things, and corporations. So as you embrace death, you know, sling some rot.
Yeah.
see what you get.
Excellent. I appreciate that, Demetrius. That's a good point. Thank you. All right. Demetrius, that's why I call him the Almighty, because he got some almighty information. Anyway. All right, bro. Appreciate it. All right. Next, we're going to Necro Barry White Cannon. Barry White, hold on. Okay, there you go. Bring it in, brother. What's the question or comment?
I just have a comment. Don't forget that as well with a molecular death, you're going through a psychological death constantly. So on the basis of it, you really have to embrace and understand and really take that in. That's all I have to say. So just remember that even though your cells are dying and reproducing, your mentality is dying and it's reproducing, your reality is dying and reproducing. So once you really encompass death within your thought process, that's when everything else will expand. That's all I have to say.
Appreciate that, brother.
Good shit.
All right, Duma, any questions? One question or one comment? Anyone?
Pass.
Pass? All right. Thank you. Mercer Sarah, you're next. Question? Hold on. Let me unmute you first. All right. Any question or comment?
As a comment, I'm saying, like, what y'all doing here is better than anything.
All right.
So, nigga, with everything y'all doing out here, and I like what's going on here.
All right. Appreciate that, brother.
Good looking, man.
Thank you.
All right. The Star Seed. I don't want to say JR because there's two of y'all in here, so I'm going to say the Star Seed. You're next. Question or comment?
Hey, I got a comment, man. I I'm just here, you know what I mean, respect and honor to everybody in this joint, you know? I've been getting the emails and shit, but I've been bullshitting. You know what I mean? Real life, I've been bullshitting. But I'm here now. I'm with y'all. I love y'all.
All right.
Peace.
Appreciate that. Love that. Thank you, bro.
Keep at it, bro.
All right. Divine Diamond, the mysterious one, hasn't seen you in a couple weeks.
Diamond, hi, Diamond.
Hey. Much love to everybody.
Hello.
I don't have a question. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. I appreciate the platform, as you all know. When you're talking about death, like it's really sticking out to me because like for the past couple of weeks, I've been like shedding off traumatic experiences and, you know, really dealing with my shadow self. And it's really been a bitch. I ain't gonna lie. It's been hard. It's like, you know, really having that self-realization and facing up to your bullshit. It's really hard to deal with. And I've been so vulnerable. And I've been doing it, you know, doing the work, going through the process. But it's like, man, it's I don't even know. Like I can't even explain it. Like
we know.
as far as manifestation, I can manifest quickly. But that shadow work, that shit be so deep, you know, like I've been crying constantly, you know, at work, shit just be wanting to come out, you know, having to refrain myself. Like it's really been real. But, you know, I just want to let everybody know to continue and keep doing the work because, you know, it's not an easy ride. And like Ravana was saying that, you know, it's not for the weak. And for everybody to be in here, that's just a sign that, you know, we all strong. We all have the power within us to, you know, really take on this Luciferian mindset. So, you know, that's all I really got to say.
I appreciate that, Divine Diamond. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Smooth T, you're next.
Yo.
Yo.
This question is for the Rogue Titan.
Yes, sir, man. What's poppin', bro?
What's poppin'? Using sigil magic and embracing this death current, what are some of the ways that you use sigils to bring forth, the death current to embrace it?
Simple. Create a thought form of embracing death through a sigil. You see what I'm saying? Creating that concept, going through it. You know what I'm saying? I might want to bust a nut on it, whatever, to activate it, whatever. I mean,
Right.
I'm not fucking around with this shit. Like, seriously,
Right.
you give life to it. You giving life to that motherfucking thought form, and it'll never leave. You see what I'm saying? It's always around you. So you're already under the psychological a form of self-hypnosis of embracing death. And when it, you know what I'm saying, when you see death, you just absorb in that energy current, and you're gonna use that energy current as you see fit. You see what I'm saying? It's an energy. You just pick that shit up. But using sigils, surrounding yourself with the spirits that's gonna identify what that sigil represents. You see what I'm saying? And being comfortable with that. You know what I mean? But with great power comes great responsibility. I'll say that shit because you can open yourself up for a lot of different entity if you don't know what the fuck you doing. You see what I'm saying? So you just gotta be creative with the shit. You know what I'm saying? Use your motherfucking imagination, because that's the most powerful thing in existence is your imagination. You know what I'm saying? Because you got it. So, you know what I mean? Just be mindful of that shit. But yeah, man, just go all the way with that shit. Be creative with ways that you know what I'm saying? Create ways that's gonna remind you of that current. And I'm telling you, it'll work. Because the mind makes it real. You see what I'm saying? And you know what I mean? We all know that cliche shit, mentalism and all is mind, the universe is mental, but that's some real shit. You know what I mean?
Okay, for sure. Salute.
No doubt. Appreciate it.
Indeed. All right, let's see who's next on the menu. All right, Pedro. Pedro, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. What's going on?
What's going on, bro? Question or comment?
No, honestly, I just want to say that I know I've been bombarding with emails this week, but the the energies and the currents, like I was this whole past week, like I really been feeling it because I've been utilizing the mirrors.
Right.
And you know, when you're asking a series of questions, I've been getting the answers in the form of other people, and it's just like it just kind of like overwhelmed me, you know what I mean? But now it's just like, now I know what to work on, what do I need to do, and how to fully master myself now.
True.
And that's really all I got to say. And
He's kind of frozen.
basically, I need just more energy, man. It's like it's starting to get addicted. It's getting addicted. I love it. Can you hear me?
All right.
Oh yeah.
Well, keep working that, brother. Keep working it. All right.
Go at your own pace.
All right. Appreciate that, Pedro. Yeah. You can keep emailing me, brother. It's not a problem. It's just sometimes I don't respond right away because I be busy. But don't worry, bro. I respond when I can. All right.
All right. No problem.
All right. Next individual is. Let me see. Let me make sure I got everybody here. Saturday. Question or comment, Saturday.
Oh, all right, sweet. All right, so I got a question, and it's like forgot her name already, but the one who just spoke about going through the facing bullshit and all. My big thing is life like pre-planned? Now, it's like split in my head, right? So on one side, I know, like you guys were talking about, mentalism, mind over matter, and synchronicity, right? But on the other side, you have I have like I'm going through the day, I'll think about somebody, they'll pop up, right? Or else I'll go through a situation like, why did that happen? And so it's kind of like, it's pretty suspicious, and I don't, sometimes I don't trust it because it's like, have you ever seen Truman Show? If you have, kind of like that, right?
Well, yeah.
So I'm torn between, is it like a Truman Show scenario, or is this my mind, rapidly, creating synchronicities like all at once, That's my question.
You want to take that, Ron, or you want me to?
You can take a road. Take a road. Take a road with Cosmic.
It's like this, man. Like this is, you understand and research the topic of the simulation hypothesis. Basically, you the guy, right? Before you came down here, you had a life plan of how you was gonna manifest in the form that you in right now. You see what I'm saying? And you the motherfucker that's directing this whole entire simulation for your corporeal existence and matter. It's you that's doing this shit, and it is your mind that's creating these quote unquote lack for a better term coincidences in your life to as little reminder that you set up. You see what I'm saying? You've done this shit. You know what I mean? That's how powerful you is. Nobody doing this to you. It's all generated through you, and you doing that by what you dictate your subconscious mind with. You see what I'm saying? But it's you that's doing this shit. You know what I mean? It's you all the way. It's nobody outside of you that got the power to even do that to you. You know what I mean? So you gotta. I would do rituals and try to come into contact with my, go within my subconscious mind to try to find out why, or to unlock those memories that's latent within your DNA and in your subconscious mind or whatever, to unlock those memories and plug back into that power of being in control of your reality at all times. You see what I'm saying? That's what I recommend you do. So keep trying that shit out, because you're gonna keep running into that type of shit. Cause that energy right now is it's only gonna increase with momentum. You know what I mean? But now it's about understanding that it will happen, and it's about wielding that power, you know what I'm saying, and harnessing that shit, you know what I mean, because it's all around you at all times, but it's you that's doing it. Get it?
No words. No words Saturday.
Wait, hold up. I got to turn it up. Hold up.
All right.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Did he hear that? Because you might have to repeat that, brother.
All right.
Hold up.
Headphones just died.
Oh, his headphones died, bro.
Yeah. I don't like them no more.
All right, guys. Rogue Titan, you're going to have to repeat that, brother.
Hey,
I heard the last part. But yeah, everything's good.
Basically, it's coming from you, bro. You the one that's dictating your entire reality. This reality of matter we in it's like a computer simulation that you set up because you got it. You see what I'm saying? When you chose to come down here in the density of matter from on high into flesh, you mapped out your entire life. You know what I mean? You going through different circumstances in your life where you have coincidences and deja vus to spark that memory within you, to go within and plug that memory back in and reconnect with your true self that lies within your subconscious mind, to take ownership of your reality and start wielding that shit and dictating it in the way you see fit. You know what I mean? So I recommend going through set up a ritual where you can go within your subconscious mind and reprogram it and reconnect to that memory and embody the concept and responsibility of being a God that is for your reality. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a hell of a, you know what I'm saying, responsibility to hold, and understanding that you the God of your existence. Ain't nobody outside of you, you know what I'm saying, control of that aspect of yourself. It's you that's doing it. You know what I mean? You got to embody that shit and embrace it. And in doing so, those latent powers and, you know what I'm saying, the power that you have within and the memories that start flooding back in, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's just a natural byproduct of your divinity and the strength of your mind.
Indeed.
Yeah. And one last thing to Rogue, about like a month or so ago, like back in the winter, I tried that thing where, you know, you watch your whole family, like, you know, like get destroyed. You know, at first it was you know, it's not something you want to look at. You know, it's just in a quote unquote natural state. You don't want to see your family, you know, go through some type of hardship. You want to like see them save them, but it's that idea of like, you know, letting go of like the physical, because like we all say, physical is not you. It's a vehicle, you know, and all death is just destruction, you know, like a car crash, you know.
Right. Keep working at it, man. Go at your own pace, man. This ain't no fucking sprint. You know what I mean? Just go at your own speed and know that, you know what I'm saying, you know that you can't fail. You know what I mean? So by working up those things, becoming comfortable with that concept. You know what I mean? It ain't for the faint of heart. You know what I mean? I don't recommend that for everybody. You gotta be a psychopath almost to be able to do some shit like that. You know what I mean? So it takes that type of, you gotta be kind of twisted. You know what I mean? But I'm telling you, it works for me. You know what I mean? But go at your own speed, bro. Come up with your own creative, you know what I'm saying, abstract ritual to do that, you know what I'm saying, create that same effect. You know what I mean? You'll be surprised at what you come up with. You know, nobody told me to do that shit. You see what I'm saying? I came up with that shit myself. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. Right.
So keep at it, man. Appreciate the support, bro.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, appreciate that. All right, let's see who's next. Let's see, did I hit that? All right, Jennifer, you're next.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, I have a comment. So you know how they use the word orgasm? It actually means little death.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I was kind of bringing that around to, you know, with the sex magic and stuff like that. So maybe you guys can comment on that.
Dang, I never knew that shit. Honestly, that's a new jewel on me. Man, damn. That makes a lot of sense, man. Shit.
Yeah, it means little death, orgasm, the word orgasm. And, you know, I wasn't going to say this, but this kind of like, the guy before me, if you witness watching the death process of someone you truly care about, it will transform your entire life.
Right.
It will transform. That's
Absolutely.
the only way you can truly, truly understand death. Because I've watched my mom die from beginning to end to her last breath.
Yep. It will do that. I witnessed my grandmother go through the same process, so she's 100% correct on that.
Yep.
So it's hard to explain that unless you've experienced it, and that's where it all starts for you as a necromancer. That's what I feel.
Yep.
That's just my feeling.
Indeed.
And Jennifer, I'll say that I've experienced that as well, and it opened up those channels in me that it made me personally want to volunteer at hospice. It made me want to be around the people at their last moment, because it started off as a caretaker kind of a situation, but when you embrace the energy, the power, I've been in the room and sat with many people as they passed, and it does do something to you. It changes you. It opens you up to different energies, and then you start to understand the power of what happens when you transition.
Yeah.
Just the energetic shift that's in the room that every single person, no matter if they're closed off or not, can feel. So there's got to be something to it, you know. So I understand that. I totally do.
Indeed. All right, appreciate that, Jennifer. let's go to the next individual. Where are we at? Hold on. Okay, who's next? Let's see. We got this, Pedro. All right, CP, you're next. CP, question or comment?
Yo, what's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
What's poppin', bro?
All right, cool. I just got a comment, man. And it goes to what Rogue Titan was saying, about like getting a different perspective on death. I live in Japan, man. So, I mean, before I came to Japan, you know, I come from a background where everybody's devout Christian, you know, Baptist, Methodist. So coming over here, man, I see like, you know, how people view death, how different the shit is. It's just really eye-opening experience, man. Like how there's not this fear for death, the spirits and all this type of shit. So, you know, I think if people have a means to travel and you know, can afford it, they should definitely go overseas or, you know, intermingle with different cultures that haven't been, you know, so much, I guess, you know, intermingled with, like, you know, our Western culture that we have now. Definitely worth it to see how, like, you know, these niggas is not spooky at all, you know, when it comes to shit like that. So,
Right.
you know, it's just like a fact of life. So, you know, you ain't got to read about it like how we was in Egypt. You can see niggas living it right now. You know, it's kind of interesting to me. So that's all I got to say. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate that, CP.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that shit.
Hey, CP, what time is it there in Japan right now?
9:21.
In the morning?
Yeah.
Gee.
I'm about to get on the train, so.
That's what's up, man.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in from Japan, brother. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Damn, we got niggas in Japan on this motherfucker.
Yeah.
I was saying the same thing.
Yeah.
JR, you next. JR, Jeremy, you next. Question or comment?
I don't have a question today. This is a real good presentation. Just listening.
All right, appreciate that.
It did remind me of one thing on the Luciferian points of power, like living and expanding your consciousness as if you was to be immortal.
True.
Both y'all touched on it, Rogue Titan and Cosmic Serpent. It was very well said.
All right, appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, let's go to See the Future. See the Future, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, but I was a little late, so I didn't hear what the discussion was.
Ah, you missed it. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Time change, time zone thing. I apologize.
No problem. It'll be uploaded probably an hour after this, so you could go back and watch it. All right, it'll be on YouTube probably an hour after we're done.
Okay, definitely waiting for the next one so I can interact as well. Appreciate it.
No problem. You're welcome. All right. Hold on. Okay. KG, you're next. Oops, hold on. KG, you're next.
Hi.
Hey,
Hello.
how you doing?
Yes. I'm just listening, so no questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, so let's see. Next is Lady Mystic. Are you there?
I'm here. Greetings. Greetings. It's excellent. Information that's been provided today is excellent. I know that previously I was very fearful and very scared of a lot of things, but now I'm not scared of anything.
Excellent. Love to hear that. And would you say that your scaredness changed after you did more work?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, first of all, I don't know how to describe it, but there's a internal sense that it's kind of like a door was closed and then the door just opened to information and knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at everything differently.
Right.
And also through work, I just have less and less fear. When I say I have no fear, I mean compared to before. I went to my father's gravesite and I did a ritual there, and that's something I would have never done before.
Indeed. I like that.
Yeah.
All right.
And so definitely through the work and different things that I'm doing, and I'm just so, it's just so wonderful, my journey and what I'm experiencing and what I'm learning. I really am just elated with excitement and interest. And I have to control myself because there's so much information. Like Ravana said, it's important to take one aspect and then study that for 6 months or a year until you understand that the way you need to understand that. And that's what I'm battling with right now, being able to organize and this, I'm going to work on this day, I'm going to work on something else that day, and so forth. But I'm just taking it one day at a time and learning. And I tell you what, I love the manifestations that are coming and my work and the results. It's wonderful. It really is.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Happy you said that. All right, Lady Mystic. Appreciate it. All right. Nina Franco, you're the last individual. Nina Franco, can you hear us while you're over there cooking and doing everything else? Any question or comment?
No, I don't. But thank you guys. It's a great class. And I feel like I've always been like, I've always liked the death current. I always like being in cemeteries. So, yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Appreciate it, Nina. You're over there cooking a 5-course meal while we're over here talking. JR the Starseed smoking a fat spliff over there. That should look like a Bob Marley spliff. What else? Necrocanin over there puffing on vapors. So yeah, everybody enjoying themselves. All right. So real quick, again, Thursday we won't have a Vampyre class. I'll be in Puerto Rico for a little bit. When I come back, we'll have one, but I'll let y'all know in advance. Also, when I come back, what is it? We're going to probably do another class. So next Sunday we won't have a class, but the week after that we'll have a class with the Triad of Darkness. And then I'll link up with the Vampyre community here in Tampa. We'll see if they do a class on here with all of us on here as well. I'm going to start utilizing Zoom more because it's more interactive than YouTube. Kind of tired of YouTube because you really can't see who you're talking to. And you got a lot of these computer fake warriors that sit behind computer desks. You know what I'm saying? So get your ass from behind the desk and let us see you over here. All right?
Right.
You can still get out.
Yeah.
It ain't shit.
You can touch them. You can touch them. They got a signature. You can touch them.
Yeah. So
yeah.
So yeah, we'll be having that Vampyre class the following Thursday. Not this Thursday, the following Thursday. We'll also do the next Triad of Darkness the following Sunday. And when I come back, I'll announce that the condo's ready for those who want to go on vacation in Puerto Rico. I'll let you know where to go on Airbnb. So hopefully some of y'all want to take advantage of that, get away from the United States. Once again, you don't need a passport. Okay? All you need is your license. A lot of people don't know that because they think it's in the Caribbean. Nope. All you need is your license. So you can go there. The condo's 3 bedroom, 2 bath for $135 per night. It's dope though. It's dope. You can't beat it. You'll see the pictures. You'll fall in love. Trust me. All right. So with that,
I want to go too.
Yeah. Well, y'all better go. Damn it. All right. So with that, it was nice discussion. Really, I enjoyed this one a lot. This was really good. Thank everybody for coming out, and we'll see y'all in 2 weeks. Dark blessings to all. All right.
Right. All right, my niggas.
All right.